it and create the pod out of it in order for you to see those changes. So it wasn't easy for us, simply because now you're making a lot of changes, and that process of you having to start by building a container and then pushing the container to a Docker hub and then pulling those changes. It was sort of like a long process. So we have decided that we first try a product called Scaffold. Has anyone used Scaffold? Okay, so Scaffold, so it's a tool that if anyone has worked with a front end application, like uh, React or Angular, when you code and you make changes, as soon as you save those changes, it automatically reloads the app, so and reflect those changes. So if you are working on a microservices and Kubernetes architecture, somehow you need to be able to, because we deploy each and every service in a form of containers, so you need to be able to rebuild that container, push it to Docker Hub, and pull it back so that you can see the changes reflecting. So um, so Scaffold does that for you automatically, the same way that those React application do those things. The only problem with those is that they don't actually like detect the changes that happens on the other files. The like the React, the node mans that you use with React and those other stuff for monolithic applications. So in microservices, each and every change, even if I make a change in an infrastructure, because an infrastructure doesn't depend on any service. So if you make a change here, it needs to detect that change, build the container that is linked to the change that you have made, and push it, and it does that automatically. So that's why we chose Scaffold. So how it works is that, um, for instance, these are my containers. I'm just gonna, I'm just going to clear here, and then cube kubectl get give all. Yes. Um, so what you see in here, so these are the stuff that we have deployed to our Google cluster. So we have pods, and then we have services, and we also have deployments. So this stuff that you see here is what has been conducted with the settings that you see in these files. So whatever that we do on the code, a scaffold is able to detect this file and execute this instruction that you see in this file. So, for instance, if you make any change in these services, I'm going to give an example with the video service. Um, if you make any, this is one of our microservices. So if you make any change in one of these services, video service, so what Scaffold is going to do when you control save is that Scaffold is going to actually, let me go to this video service. Yeah, this in here. So what Scaffold is going to do is going to check in your source file, and then if there's any change that you have made in your file, then what is going to do is going to rebuild the changes and push them to this Docker registry. So this registry is where our images. So this is the path of the images that we have stored in a Google container registry. Um, a simple example of those registries are here. So these are our registries on the Google Cloud platform that we have created. So if you make any change, it's going to push our changes to that container registry and pull them again and create a pod. So a pod is always created from an image. So an image is just a blueprint that is it's responsible to create pods all the time. So and then those pods are running containers inside. Those containers are Docker containers that have your running code inside them. So the aim is just to Dockerize those containers so that they can just run independently. So what Scaffold does is that it does that whole process for you. So so this diagram here is what is actually showing you how Scaffold works. So you make changes in your local. That's what I just showed you on the code. And then as soon as you save, and then, but I'm just showing the process for one container. As soon as you save, and then your changes, the Scaffold takes your changes to Google Cloud Build. So Google Cloud Build is what builds your code, source code, your Docker file, and then into image, and then it after compiling those things, and then it pushes them and update the image. So the images are what I just showed you here on a Docker registry. So if you wanna like read a lot about the Docker build and even the load balancers, I haven't explained the load balancer, but we have used a load balancer in this platform as well. So if you wanna maybe check about the services that you are actually using here, you can actually just search them here, just like the cloud build, Google Cloud Build. Uh, Google Cloud Build. Yeah, so this is not this one, sorry. This is Cloud Build. Yeah, so this is the product. Yeah, so this is the actual dashboard of Google Cloud Build. This is where you will see all your history and everything that is happening when you build your stuff. So even the load balancing, uh, load balancer, anything any product that you are using on your platform, you can easily just search it here and find it here. So this is our load balancer. Yeah, so here I was just showing you the information of how you can actually find these products. Even our Kubernetes cluster is always there. So as soon as you build your image here, and then the deployment, um, this is our Kubernetes cluster, and then the deployments will pick the image that you have built and create the pods in here. So I know this is a bit technical, but I will just try to explain and show you like how that like the process works, the one that I actually showed you there. So if you go into um, if you wanna, let's say for instance, you want to deploy a video service, which is this here. It's a microservice. This is a project on its own. So this is just a node project. So these are different node projects. So let's say, for instance, you want to build this project and deploy it into the cluster. So what you will do is that first of all, we go to these deployments. I'm gonna go to videos deployment. So deployment in Kubernetes, um, the main purpose of deployments in Kubernetes is to make sure that the containers that you have created that are running in each and in the cluster, like those, you need to make it, the main purpose of it is to create the replicas, or to restart if any deployment or any container fails, like during, like whenever, even if it's prod or it's dev environment, all those containers that are there, if anything fails in there, what the deployment will do, um, it will automatically recreate another container running without even us noticing that there was something wrong, or maybe it went down. And also to create replicas. So replicas, um, like when you are trying to scale your application, if it has more loads, if it's receiving more load, you can easily configure into multiple replicas, be it 5, be it 6, any replicas that you want for any container. So I can create maybe 3 instances of videos, or even of comments, because a lot of people are posting comments in this service. So if I decide that the service is receiving a lot of traffic, I can easily come to these comments and just increase the number of replicas so that it can load balance whatever traffic that comes to it. So that's the purpose of deployment. And then, so that's the reason why we have this code here. So these are Kubernetes objects. If you want to learn more about this stuff, you need to read about Kubernetes and microservices and how you deploy the stuff. So we have defined a deployment here, and then that deployment, what it will do is it will take care of a container. So this is the container definition that is going to host the this is the container that is going to be hosted by this deployment, that is going to be taken care of by this deployment. And then so in this file, like to make it simple, we have 3 different kinds of objects. So we, whatever, anything that exists inside Kubernetes, we call them objects. So here we have deployment, and then we have a container, which is a pod. We can call container a pod, but a container runs inside the pod, but we just call them container or pod. So anyhow, it's fine. And then you also have a service. So the main purpose of a service is to expose the application outside the world. So if you have like containers running inside the Kubernetes cluster, by default, those containers are not exposed to the world. They can only communicate to one another. So in order for you to actually make them to communicate to the outside world, you define the service and define the kind of service that you want. Be if it's a load balancer, that means you are actually exposing an IP address so that it can be accessible. If it's a cluster IP, which is one of the services in here, which means the service, all of those services will be communicating inside the cluster. So the aim of this is to actually give it a readable name. So in this case, we just call it a video service, a readable name that the other services can reach out to this service. So without defining this, the containers inside the Kubernetes cluster won't be able to be reached outside the world. So that's the main reason of this. And then the reason why we have deployment takes care of the container. The container is a pod, is where your code is running. So a deployment makes sure that the containers that you have deployed, they don't die. Whenever anything goes wrong, it automatically restarts them, and it also scales them if needed, adding the replicas. And then the service, like, it controls how the pods can be accessed. you cannot access the pods directly. You need to access them via service. If you defined that the service is a cluster IP, which means it can only be accessible inside the Kubernetes cluster. If it's a load balancer, then it can be accessible outside of the Kubernetes cluster. So I was just giving you the, like, these are just the basics of like microservices. I know that the talk is not about the architectures and the microservices. So I was just giving a summary of how the architecture works. I should have had like drew an architecture to explain these things better. But the main focus, I just wanted to explain how we actually used the Google stuff. So what we did is that we have a scaffold that has been created by Google developers, which helps with rebuilding the containers and everything and the images automatically when you're working on your development environment. And second step is that when you push your code, the code goes to Google uh, Cloud environment, and there's a service called Google Cloud Build that is responsible to build your containers and update the images. The images are stored in a registry, and the last thing is that after when the image is ready, then the deployment, that script that I showed you now as a deployment that takes care of the containers. It's this part. So automatically it creates the pods that we have defined the inside the Kubernetes cluster, and then the pods, and then the service, the last part that I showed you, exposes these pods based on your preferences. If you want them to be outside of the world, or you want them to only be visible inside, and assign them the name that can be known by other services. So that simple process is just so what I was explaining here. So for each and every deployment, this is the service. If you are making change in the alt service, and then Scaffold, what Scaffold does, it builds your image, it pushes the image to a Google container registry, and then from there, and then it pushes it to the deployment. The deployment creates the pod for you. So for each and every container, this is the process that actually happens. So this is how we are actually using Google Cloud stuff. But so what I've showed you now is what we are actually using in our development environment. So one of the reasons that actually influenced this decision is because uh, some some of uh, some of the people who were actually using this, their computers couldn't keep up with um, Docker desktop or Docker for Mac, whatever that they were using locally. So every time when they had to build those images, it was taking forever. So us having this environment inside the Google Cloud platform, where whenever they make changes, they just push it, then the Google Cloud build takes care of everything. It was making things faster for them when they were developing locally, so they wouldn't worry about their local computer running those building those Docker images, and pushing them locally and making the system to be slower. So,
Awesome.
so yeah, um, that was that. So, but we still have the live environment, the not the live, the QA environment, where we actually do this process like automatically using like CI and CD pipelines, where we defined GitHub actions to actually do that process if you want to push it to live environment or this other stuff. So this is the code that actually does that on this stuff as well. But at the end of the day, it will push the stuff to the Kubernetes that is hosted on Google Cloud Platform. Um, yeah, so I think that was that on my side. So I know that it's a lot of information and like a lot of stuff are technical. That's the reason why even when I'm explaining them, like I sometimes I feel like I'm sharing, like I haven't shared a lot of basics. I'm just sharing like sharing a lot of some of the high level stuff immediately. So I feel like there's still a lot of basics that I could have explained before I dive deeper into the things that we are actually things that I've actually explained now. So, but moving forward, I think anyone who actually wants to ask how did I come about the stuff and how did we go about this, they are welcome to contact me, ask me questions, and all the other stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Remember, I'm actually grateful that you touched more on Kubernetes and Docker. These topics and the tech stacks, the DevOps tools that are never spoken about, you know. So I think you shed a bit of light on the tools that actually make the final product look the way it is, you know. And thank you so much for touching more on that. It was a very insightful presentation. We also could see how your company managed to integrate your Kubernetes into the cloud, the Google Cloud systems. Thank you so much. And as he did say that if you have any question, you can definitely reach out to him. Um, and I would really love to send some apologies to Misha. We know that we took a bit of your time, but we're going to welcome you. Anyone who has questions based on what Remember just shared with us, can you please just drop them on the chat box, and then we're just gonna have a Q&A session, initial session. But thank you so much, Remember. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
So, um, our next speaker will be Nisho from Geek Culture, the CEO and the co-founder of Geek Culture. He will come on and tell us about himself and his company, and then go ahead to mention how how our African startups can actually benefit from Google services. Thank you so much.
Just checking if you're able to hear me. Hello, Matepo.
Hi,
Can
Nisha.
hear
Okay.
you.
Uh, so I hear loud and clear. So I guess I can get started. So thank you. All right. As mentioned, my name is Mishongoweni, and I'm from Geek Culture, and we're a tech platform for connecting mostly young people to the world of technology. So we are 11 years old. I can't believe we're that old. So we've been around 11 for the past 11 years and preaching the gospel of tech, exposing a lot of young people to the world of technology. We've seen people grow from high school, tertiary into the workspace, and with some of them actually starting their own businesses as well. So it's been a great journey for us, and we continue doing that. And I'm glad to see GDG Pretoria active again. So I home is Pretoria, even though I've been uh, hijacked by Joburg, but home is Pretoria. So it's always great to see things happening in Pretoria. And personally, I kind of wait for something of this nature to happen on a physical front. So yeah, so it's great to see this happening. So, just a little bit again about geek culture. There's a lot that we've done. Thanks, Tash. There's a lot that we've done on the ground, and we continue to do that. And hopefully, some of you guys will join us on the journey. We host a lot of physical events, online events, webinars, hackathons. Our favorite. So we've done over 150 hackathons. of different types. So for those of you who've never been to a hackathon, you really have to be ashamed of yourself. You need to at least attend one hackathon, even if you come and pick up the papers, or if you come become the, what do they call them, the water boy, or you come in as a mentor. I believe most of you have knowledge, great knowledge to share. Please come through. It's all about sharing the knowledge, spreading the word, and helping the others that are coming. Just so that's what happens quite a lot at hackathons. So there's always obviously great prizes to be won, anything from t-shirts all the way to 100,000, 200,000, depending on the particular challenge. But one thing we've also picked up with hackathons is that they end over the weekend. There isn't much of continuity. There isn't much of the solutions that come into play. So I'm glad to hear the previous session talking about the different tech that you can use. It's one of the things that we really encourage as well. So we are obviously open to different tech stack, especially in the different hackathons we host. So it's not necessarily one particular platform, but please be part of a community, continue to be part of a community, build as much as possible. But one thing I've picked up with developers is you guys are so I'm gonna come for everybody now. You guys are very, very good at building, you know. But your most of your solutions never leave your computers. They never get into people's hands, and that is a problem in a way. It's good that you have your own personal solutions, but we want to see this product in people's hands. We want to see you guys build your apps and put them out in the market space. We want to be like, I want to be proud and say, I know the app developer who was behind that. I want to hear that you are making money out of your app. And hopefully someday, I think you should consider having Mugondli on the meetup. He's definitely very good and is someone who's very experienced in having built a business online, a digital business online, but also having used ads to monitor, to monetize. So a lot of people just they just say I'm gonna make use ads, but they don't know what goes into it. They don't know how much you can go into it. So someone like Mukondli is a great person to have. So my session, sorry, Simo, definitely not attacking anyone. My session is going to focus a little bit on, the different tools that can be used by startups. So obviously, I'll focus a bit on Google tools, and it's definitely not going to be as technical as the previous one. Most of you, if not all of you, have probably used some of these solutions. So I'm just going to highlight them because I don't want to make the assumption that everybody has used some. There's my problem with Google is Google has so many great tools, and they're just too many, and you always have to search deep to find something, and sometimes we don't really know the full strength of it. So I'm going to focus on a few tools that you can use as a startup, or as you're building your own one-man business, or whatever it might be, to take advantage of and actually give yourself some bit of digital presence, and at least some bit of leverage and push for your business. So yeah, let's just get started with it. Apologies, I do not have slides, but I'll try my best just to take you through as much as possible that I can. I can prepare and share the slides with you guys later on if there's a need, but I believe, some of the stuff you guys should be able to find a lot easily. Probably my favorite Google tool is Google Drive. I'm not going to go deep into Google Drive because you all get the free version whether you like it or not. You can obviously expand on it, which probably most of you have. So you can expand. What I like about it is the ability to, share the and collaborate with others. So we do a lot of digital literacy training, and it's so amazing how there's so many young people, old people out there who do not know what you can do with something like Google Drive from a collaboration side. So I hope none of you guys are those people who do not collaborate on platforms like Google Drive. Maybe using other platforms, the ones start with an M or whatever else is out there. But just try to find a collaborative tool. I'm not going to go deep into the tools that are inside Google Drive because I believe all you guys have used Google Drive some way somehow. It is definitely one of my favorite tools out there. Then there's something called Google Trends. It's probably one of my other favorite one, because it helps you find particular trends within a particular area. You can search in your country, you can search globally, you can search in a market that you want to go to find what are the big trends that are happening, what's the news that are happening. It's good for filtering and moving away from the noise from platforms like Twitter. And as a person who runs a business, you also want to find out, what are the trends that are happening in a particular area. What's going on within South Africa that might potentially influence my business, might potentially create opportunities for me. Maybe you're looking into venturing into another country. You can figure out what are the trends in those particular countries. So if you've not used Google Trends, please do try it out. I think it's a really good tool. I like the way it gives you a bit of the analytical side of things. So yeah, just check out Google Trends. The next one, has anyone used Google Alerts? All right. Can't see the chat. So Google Alerts is also another good one if you're a startup, worth using. So I know some people they use alerts and then they would go to, maybe you want to check any news that pops up or any article that pops up related to geek culture on the web. So the moment it goes on the web, someone posts about it, writes about it, you kind of like it alerts you and brings the article closer to you. So this is one good way of continuously getting the right information, but not being distracted too much with the noise on social media. So do consider Google Alerts. It is one definite good tool. Another one that most people tend to not use, and I think it's very important if you run a business. It's Google Business Profile. So you see, you guys, you've probably noted when you it's like for me it's like the yellow pages of businesses. And if you're running a business, be it big or small, and you do not have this in place, I feel like you are limiting yourself, you are losing out on a particular market. So what it basically does, people can call you, you can put your number there, you can have directions there. I usually it's my go-to place to find a business, to understand how far it is, to get reviews, to see what services these companies are potentially offering. But I usually mostly to also check, is the business still open? So before I make a decision on whether I want to go somewhere or not, go check out this business, go buy food there, I look into, is that particular business open or not? So some businesses I've noticed actually do not have this particular business profile is set up. So it's also an opportunity for you guys as devs, to know to offer it into when you build platforms, especially websites and the likes. You can offer it as a service, so that we can digitize different businesses that are out there. Because it's very important. There's nothing worse than not having any information about a business and not seeing any reviews. I'm a big fan of reviews. So before I even go to a place, I want to read the reviews. I want to find the phone number. I want to see how far the place is. So it allows you to do quite a number of things. So business profile, If you've never checked it and you have a business, please do have a look at it. And then there's obviously the likes of Google Ads. Um, Probably another great tool that goes very handy with business profile. So won't touch much in Google Ads because we all love or hate ads. But I think if you're running a business, Google Ads come in very well. So if you've noticed on platforms like Facebook and Twitter, especially Twitter, there's just too much noise. You wanna also be present in platforms like Google Ads, Google Search, because most of us somewhere somehow end up there. Another trick that you can use is build content, put it up on your YouTube. So YouTube is probably one of the most underrated. YouTube Shorts. So there's YouTube Shorts. It's good to have them on like things like Instagram Reels, but YouTube Shorts. What they do is basically it's the power of Google and the search engine of Google. I feel if you have Instagram Reels, try to also put those content that you put on YouTube Shorts as well, because they are pushing it very hard, and Google search engine is still very powerful in my view. Um, and then there's analytics. Another thing that I love is analytics. I wanna For me, anything is that you need to be able to measure. I need to see when is the best time to put up stuff. When are people checking my products? Where are they checking your products? It's also highly possible to think that you are reaching a right audience. Maybe think you're promoting for people in Joburg, only to find that your biggest audience is sitting somewhere in Northern Cape. Analytics helps you understand that. Age group wise is also another factor. You might think that you are promoting and selling to the Amapiano gang, only to find that you are reaching out the OGs who are not interested in Amapiano or whatever else it might be. I know that's a horrible example, but I just had to put Amapiano somewhere in this presentation. But it helps to figure out that in terms of what's going on. There's also other tools that plug into your analytics that you can use. For those who have not used the marketing platform, it's also another great platform to learn a little bit about marketing insights, marketing better on using platform like Google. So do check that out. The last two that I want to touch on, the last three actually, um, there's something called Grow with Google. This is for those of you who want to upskill yourself. Please do use a platform to go and learn as much as possible, improve some of your technical skills, test yourself on platforms like Grow with Google, get some of those certifications here and there. But it's a good tool to platform to learn at your own pace. As entrepreneurs, as startup people, we are so lost in, we spend our time trying to run the business, but sometimes we do not upskill ourselves. Learn as much as possible. It has a very good technical library as well. So for you guys who are in the digital and in the technical space, it has a huge library of digital skill sets as well. So for those who want to dive into learn about digital marketing, digital literacy, and strengthen yourself in those areas, especially as a small business owner, you can do that. And then there is what's this one? It's called uh, Google for Startups. So those of you who've never heard about Google for Starters, do check it out. I'll drop the link. I think this is, out of everything I've shared, it's probably one of the important links. So Google for Startups. Um, Great platform to go to learn as much as and see what Google is doing for startups, especially in our region, Africa as well. It can You can join the potential programs, You can find potential mentors. Once you get into those programs, you can get credits as well. You've got a huge network that you can be part of once you become, parts of those programs. You get to learn about, obviously, access to, I always struggle pronouncing, is it Gemini? The AI tool. Um, and then you obviously get to be part of you get to potentially be part you can be part of the Google for Startups Cloud program. I know some of you are using Google Cloud as one of your cloud platforms, so this is another great place to become part of that program. And then you can be also another one that Google has invested a lot, especially for Black founders. So if you're running a startup and you obviously are Black, Google has invested a lot of money into that. There's certain programs that they've created. They always have an intake on a yearly basis. I think last time I checked, it was on a yearly basis. I'm not sure how it looks now. With the Black Founders Fund, you get to work closer with the different teams within Google, depending on what you're building. You obviously get funds, you get support. So it is a great way to grow and strengthen your business. So yeah, that is one great tool. So if you've not tapped into um, Google Founders Fund, please have a look into it. And this is just also a note to myself as well, because they put in a lot of money to help in terms of, you've got access to a network. So I think some of us, one of the biggest downfalls is we do not build networks. And when you're running a startup, it's always great to be part of an ecosystem and a network. And this platform, the Founders Fund, especially the Black Founders Fund, helps you to have a network. And I'm not even talking about a network just in SA. So that's another thing I like about what Google is doing on the continent. You might be from South Africa, but they bring you closer to people in Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, and all these different areas on the continent where they've got a good following. So please do check it out. I see we do not have time, but yeah, I just want to know if there's any particular questions in relation to any of these, but also in relation to anything startup world. But I can also take any questions related to geek culture. I do apologize again for not having slides, but I just hope this was useful to someone, and I'm happy to engage further with anyone.
Thank you so much, Michelle. At this point, you deserve the head of marketing at Google, because you really like
Yeah,
went deep into all of the stuff that we were really not aware of. But thank you so much for the efforts. We really, really appreciate that, and we understand that you couldn't compile some slides, but thank you. So
thank
right
you.
now we will take in all the questions from Param Solutions. If you had any questions from for Remember or Ujidi, if you have any questions about geek culture and Google and startups, then you can definitely take this moment to just ask through the chat box. And I should say that you did mention, Micho, about the power of networking, and it really goes a long way because I only was able to get access of John, which is the founder of Param Solutions, and Micho through the Gig Culture hackathon I attended. So I really didn't know who these people were until I actually attended the Gig Culture. So that is the power of actually even being out there and networking. So please do. I would highly encourage everybody to be active this year into all the upcoming like tech events and hackathons and all of that, so that you can build a network.
Thanks for that. So yes, let's get involved in all the different activities. And I love what fractional dev and Param are doing. It's really good for people to have, sometimes I think we see this a lot as developers. Um, you have the skill set, and sometimes you just want, especially as a startup, sometimes you just want someone to come and do a particular task, and then that's it, because startups face a lot of challenges from funds and whatnot. So it's always good to be on the database of platforms like Fractional Dev. They're doing some really great things in terms of giving developers opportunities. Simo, I don't know. Let me address your question. What are your sentiments on the SA Tech startup success potential, and what advice would you give on maximizing your success? So the SA Tech startup, I think it's definitely not as glorious as it's made out to be. A lot of entrepreneurs and techies are finding it very challenging. Funding does not always come very easily. But what I've seen is there's something about the Cape Town ecosystem as well. They move differently in terms of how startups are growing. What I've also seen is because most of their funds are not from SA, they tend to build and ship international as well. If you look at platforms like OfferZen, they are also expanding to places like Netherlands and Germany. There's quite a lot of platforms that are doing that. So it is still requires a lot of funding. Um, you know, uh, Access to. I mean, there's so much you can do with 100,000 K. Um, it vanishes very quickly. But there is definitely a need for more funding resources. Maybe there's a need for more, not too many incubators, because what tech startups do, you find one person is part of three, four, five incubators. Maybe that need to be monitored, and there's a new way of measuring so that people do not have incubator hop, and give others an opportunity. But I think one of the biggest things to do is to network. I mean, all of us here on this particular call, we are a network, and someone has a skill that I don't have. There's a skill that I have. There's a network and connections that I might have that someone else might not have. So the more we share with each other, the more we expose each other, the more we help each other in terms of growing our businesses and guiding each other, the more we'll definitely, get there and things improve. So yeah, there's a lot that can still be done, but I mean, I have to say, in the past few years, as much as there are challenges, a lot of SA businesses have been doing well. They've been growing very nicely amidst all the challenges. So the challenges are there. Government has its own challenges in supporting local businesses, but we just have to keep on pushing. I think the trick is what really helps is um, find your customers as soon as possible, get them to pay, find the right partners, build for people's needs, and you should be at least one foot in the right direction.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that question. Can I just confirm, is Remember or Gino still here from Param Solutions?
Yes, I'm still here. I'm still here.
Okay, awesome. Where is your company based?
We are in Rosebank.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Do we still have any questions before we have a vote of thanks? I will assume that everyone is good. Can I have Nomsa to give us a vote of thanks if she's still here?
Hi, Mateko. So Nomsa has had to drop off due to other
Okay.
commitments. But I'll give the vote of thanks. Um, I'm sorry about the background noise. Like I said, there's some work happening around my place. Um, yeah, so everyone be, as I'm giving the vote of thanks, I'd just like to ask you all just to fill in that form that we've put in the chat. It's literally 1 minute. If you take 1 minute, it's even long. So it's just three short questions, just to help us, come up with more events in the future for the community. And Misha, I've taken note of your point about us meeting in person. And yes, definitely, we are looking at an in-person event soon around Pretoria. Folks, this is just to say thank you to everyone for making the time to be part of today's event. The event would not have been a success without you. And a special vote of thanks to our speakers, Misho and Remember. And we want to thank you, Fractional.dev. We've learned a lot today, and we are hoping that we will be able to continue to collaborate on many events going forward. We look forward to working with Geek Culture, working with Misho, working with Remember, and working with Fractional.dev. We really, really appreciate you making the time and preparing and giving a talk. If there's anyone out there who is listening to me and would like to give a talk, you are more than welcome to approach Matsepo, approach myself, approach NOMSA, or any of the organizers or volunteer team in order to become a speaker in an upcoming event. Special thanks to Injinu as well for coming out and facilitating our event. With that said, I'm going to hand back to you, Matsepo, for in closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Tesh, for the vote of thanks, and thank you everybody who took their time to attend our event. Please do look out more on our social media platforms for all the upcoming events. You can check Misho on LinkedIn. He is Miss Rongoveni. And remember on LinkedIn is Remember Mabunda. On LinkedIn I am Matsuko Soto, and Njinu on LinkedIn he is Njinu Gimani. For any further assistance with anything related to the conversations we have been having. Until we meet again in person next time. Thank you so much for your time. Awesome.
Thanks, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.